Welcome everyone to episode 31, which, I'm kind of on this roll and I've had, no offense to my early guests, but I feel like my roster of guests have just been so good and I'm having so much fun. Robin Dimond from Fifth and Core with us. Thank you so much, Robin, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm so excited for so many reasons. First of all, I know what you do, but marketing. No, it's so much more.
Thank you.
It's so much more than marketing. So we're going to talk about what you do. We're both in the Daily Drip, which if you've been watching, I've had a lot of my family of the Daily Drip on, and there's a reason, right? Not only is it a great community, but even at our first meeting, you were just so raw and real about my struggles and you're so successful and so far ahead in comparison to me. And you were just so honest with me. And immediately it was just like a bond. Immediately.
But it is a bond. And I'm so sick of the fakeness. So I'm like, let me just tell somebody else how it is.
You literally took the words out of my mouth of how I was feeling, that I didn't even know that's how I was feeling. I couldn't express it because I was also new and I had never met you. So I was kind of like, do I really lay it all out on the table? Anyways, just saying all that to say that, yes, you have this incredible business, but just you as a fellow woman entrepreneur, immediately, first time meeting you, it was just real and support. And so that's also impressive, right? In business.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I felt so vulnerable the first time I met you because I don't know if you know this, but I was coming off walking pneumonia. That whole photography, thing. And then we went out to lunch and I was like, I'm dying. And then everyone started opening up and everyone was so just like transparent. I was like, I have to jump into this conversation.
Yeah.
And so I think that was so easy for me. And I'm like, I hope you love me, but if you don't,
immediate. So tell everybody about yourself and about Robin Dimond and who is Fifth and Core.
Okay, so I'm Robin Dimond. I'm the CEO and founder of Fifth and Core. Fifth and Core is a marketing and innovation company. So we're not a marketing agency, and I have to say that we are marketing and innovation. And there's a difference between that. But before I tell you the difference, I'm going to tell you about the name because that's what everyone's like, where did this name come from? So Fifth represents the five senses. Mm-hmm. And I was on Fifth in Broadway in Tennessee when I smelled the food and I was listening to the music and I was feeling the wind and I was like, this is what marketing's supposed to be. Everything, because I had worked for a tech company, everything had become data. Mm-hmm. And people were data. And I was like, why are we not going back to human-centered? So Fifth represents the five senses. And if you're starting a business, you need your whole heart and courage. And so the Latin root word for courage is core. So Fifth is the five senses and heart is core. And that is who we are at the heart of it. Is human-centered. So that's why I came up with the name.
I love that.
Thank
you.
That's
amazing.
I Googled it. I was like, okay, no one has this. It's probably weird. And people were like, where did this come from? So Fifth and Core is where the name came from. I was sitting in Tennessee. I had to make up a decision about the name, and that's where it is. And it's kind of just led to a lot of other things. And we are a marketing and innovation company. And people are like, I don't understand. Well, tech and marketing have merged so quickly. Mm. Like you look at, AI being used in social media. You look at augmented reality being used in Sephora. If you go there and try on makeup, it's all a marketing ploy. And so innovation is really the merging of tech and marketing. And so we are a marketing and innovation company. So when people are asking me what kind of clients we like, there are people who think outside the box.
I love that. I had never heard it that way. And it's so true as far as when you think about that experience, even at Sephora, right? You just think, man, this tech is cool. But it's marketing.
It's marketing. Everything is marketing.
Everything is marketing.
Those QR codes. If everybody remembers the, what was it? The Super Bowl where the bouncing QR code went across the screen and it was this record-breaking number of people hit it. Everything is interactive. And that going back to the senses, people want to be human-centered. They want something that stands out. They want something that ignites them inside. And so that's what innovation is.
Wow. That is so impressive. And first of all, I've never heard of a company describe what they do that way. And I think it's so forward thinking because we were talking about this. I just came from a tech conference last week in Indianapolis in my space, right? In insurance. And it's just so cold. The tech world is so cold. And I was actually on a panel that was how do we utilize technology here in our agency? And one of the things I'm kind of like the oddball, but I was one of the things, honestly, I evaluate my tech on the humans behind the tech, right? I need to be able, I cannot have a chat feature be the only way I get support. So is my tech maybe the highest form of actual tech? Maybe not. Maybe I'm a couple versions behind, or, you know, I go with the carrier that maybe doesn't have the best UI, but I can pick up the phone when I need help. And that's that human piece, right? It's like everything is so tech, but what about the human aspect of it? And I haven't even thought about that on my own senses. I just talk about it like in a need for a human connection to solve a problem.
Can I say that I love that you say that you're behind, but you're really not? Because tech is moving so quickly nowadays. Right. And people are like, well, AI is going to replace us. No, it's not.
No.
Cars didn't replace us. It helped us to get work faster.
Right.
So now we're part of our day. The printing press made it so that news could get out there quicker. And everyone's like, well, that's old school. No, it's tech. This will be old one day. AI will just be something that helps you, just like the internet. I remember the dial-up.
Yeah, AOL,
right? Or like you just hear that like noise all the time.
Yeah. Nobody better pick up the phone.
Ever, because you're off.
Because you're kicked off.
Or the typewriter. Everything's expressed and it's going there, so you don't have to use the latest in tech.
Right.
You kind of have to just blend it into your lifestyle and what works for you, but it will never replace humans. But humans who use it will replace people who don't.
Right. That's kind of my angle on it as well. That is so that's the tech piece, and it's so fascinating. We could talk about that forever. But the premise of this podcast is just, you know, my industry is very supportive. I've found a community of women that are critical to my life. It has turned very quickly into part of my life, not just my business. And so I don't know that all industries are that generous with support, or, you know, the business owner that hasn't found their community yet, right? So I always like to ask entrepreneurs about like the tough business questions. So we're going to go there. But before we do, it's also, you start a business and you wear all the hats. You do everything, right? And sometimes we're still doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? What does a new business owner, what should be the first thing that they focus on when it comes to marketing? Where do they start? Because most people don't have the marketing brain.
No, nor do I have the accounting brain.
Right.
So everybody who's an accountant out there is like, I can't do marketing.
Right.
Cool. I can't do accounting.
Correct.
What I can't do is I find good people who can do it for me. Marketing is everything. Because if you don't have marketing, and when times are down, double down on your marketing. And I think that's something, it's like investing in yourself. It's investing in your workout. It's investing in all these things. When you don't feel the best, you go work out. It's the same with marketing. And if you're not focused on growing your business and you take eyes off of that, you will watch the ripple effect 3 months, 6 months later just die out. If people don't know who you are, they cannot hire you. So your sales will trickle down. So marketing should always be number one.
And so for that new business owner, right? Obviously, I know it's a little bit of a difficult question because it's not industry specific, but just in general, what I don't think most people know that. And I think I know it, but I don't really know it. I think I do, but I think you can school me on it. What's the difference between marketing and advertising?
Okay, that's a great one. So marketing is like going out there and getting word of mouth, social media, PR. Community is marketing too. This is marketing. We're both out there. We're going to leverage it. We're going to pull it together. Advertising is going out there and doing ads. So it's like a billboard. It's a newspaper. And people are like, what the heck is she talking about? It's Facebook ads. It's LinkedIn ads. It's advertising for the goal of sales, where marketing is brand exposure, brand awareness, creating a community that will help support you in the future.
That's really good because of there's a stark difference. So advertising typically would be paid as well. Like in a paid, I know you could do it organically, but like, the marketing is almost the human version of the pieces of advertising, right? Like what makes up advertising? Yes, it's a logo, it's your pitch, whatever, on a piece of on a billboard, on a Facebook ad. But I feel like marketing is the tangible assets to that ad.
I love this. Okay, so because I want to dive in. So people are like, marketing, one person can do it all. There's advertisement, there's PR. You just said it. There's logo, there's branding, there's UX, UI, there's your website. You just start naming all those things, and you're, which one is it? And I'm like, it's all of those.
That's why it's so difficult.
And that's why a business owner is exhausted because they're on this little hamster wheel running, trying to figure all these things out. If you ask me what operations is, it is clocking in. It's coming up with a pay scale. It's coming up with all these things. There are multiple layers to it. Marketing is not a one-person job. You are not ready for advertisement if you're just starting a business. Just do marketing. Get your brand awareness out there.
Right. So then the age-old question, right, which I've heard it a ton, and I'm sure you hear it all the time, right? ROI and marketing. How do you track it?
Okay. And there's a couple different ways I've started answering this because it is the brand awareness, and people hate that. They're like, well, what's that answer? And I'm like, if people don't know about you, what is your return on investment? And this is like working out. You can't just jump in and start a CrossFit group right away. You're going to die.
Right.
Emotionally, you're physically going to die too.
You won't be able to walk for a week.
You won't. And you're like, so it is something that you have to build up to. The ROI is getting your name out there. It is the backlink. It's a long-term game. But if no one knows about your pizza parlor, no one's going to it. So you can't really look for dollar. It's brand awareness. It's getting that community group. It's getting, the church to come in. It's getting all of these different little things to bring it to. And if you look at it in your business owners who are still looking at ROI to like, should I do this social media post? And what did this social media post ROI? They're not going to be around anymore. And I know that's really, really harsh, but it's the same people who said, I don't need a website.
Right.
I have a phone number. Why do I need a website? That was like 18 years ago. I just remember clients I had that were like, social media is a fad. I'm like, so is it still a fad? Let me know. Is website still a fad? It is something that you cannot put a dollar amount on.
Right. I think that somebody recently asked me, like, what's the ROI on this? I did this for multiple reasons. I really was trying to get back my time. I had been networking so much and I needed to create content and like kind of scale back my time. So, I mean, has somebody bought a piece of insurance off of this? I don't know. I mean, somebody could have heard it and called. I don't know. But my ROI, it's not even financial, right? It's tied to highlighting entrepreneurs in my community. It's tied to providing value. It's tied to if I can give you a referral, that'd be amazing. That would bring me more joy, right? Than me getting it. And it's also ended up like kind of feeding me, like nurturing me. And like I'm actually enjoying getting to talk to people that I respect and learn from them. So it's like mentally, I think people always just assume ROI is dollars as well. Like a return of investment can be other things too. And with marketing, it might be that, right? It might be showing up somewhere and be like, hey, aren't you the owner of Fifth and Core? Like that's huge.
I think it's, I don't have kids. I'm not blessed enough to have kids. But if someone asked me, what's the ROI of my child? Like, well, why did you take him to that soccer game? We would look at them like they were crazy. You're investing because it betters your life too. It makes you a better person. It makes you more rounded. Like there's investment in a totally different way. And I think we have to stop thinking about that. I'm so invested in my community. Like that's how we met. We went to that thing. If I looked at what was the ROI for me to have lunch with you that day that I didn't know I was going to meet you, and I met 15 other women that I got to spend time with, you can't put a dollar amount on that.
Right. I think that the era of social media has kind of moved away from actual tangible dollars to like back in the day when we used to own an Allstate, right? We would do 80,000 pieces of mail a month. Well, yeah, we would know, okay, in the next 45 days, we wrote X amount of money because of these mailers. Sure. Direct, right? Direct ROI. I mean, I still do some mailers. They still work. But my point is that now that with this, the internet game and the brand, the focus on the brand, it's harder to track that ROI for sure. I mean, I feel it too.
It is, but who knows when they're going to see something and then remember it. And so I remember meeting you. I saw your podcast. It was on LinkedIn. Like, I think it was a week ago and you had somebody on and I was like, oh my gosh, I need this. And so I went to theirs. So technically you got someone else's sale, if that helps.
Well, great. So then marketing, right? I'm so glad that you said the pizza parlor because I always use the pizza example because I feel like, for example, so many people come into business for other reasons, right? So if you own a restaurant, it's probably because you love to cook that food that you're offering at your restaurant. It's not because you know how to run a business.
No.
So, for the person that doesn't know, right? Like even what is your take from your perspective on like building a personal brand versus building the brand of your business? What is your suggestion?
Love this question. Okay. So I've been in marketing for years, but I did also own 2 restaurants. So we'll come back to that.
Okay. So you know.
So I know because I love to cook and they're not profitable. Restaurants, just in case anyone knows, that's the worst industry to get into. You do it because you love it and you have a passion for it. But when you talk about, coming into it and like, what was your question?
About like a new business owner that's like deciding on that marketing track, right? Like, do I spend money marketing my pizzeria or is it the chef owner and this is who the owner is? Like the personal brand versus the business brand. What do you think is more fruitful or beneficial?
So I would have told you 5 years ago, oh, it's just the business. It's not like that. People connect with the owners now. And this was a mistake. So I think by the end of the day, I'll hit 30,000 LinkedIn connections. I did not have a LinkedIn 4 years ago.
Wow.
I didn't believe in personal branding. I wanted to be number 2. I worked underneath somebody else. That was not something important. Well, I didn't realize that people want to connect with me. They want to know the CEO. They want to know the brand guidelines that I come up with personal. So personal branding is just as important, even more from how, and this will go to like what clothes I used to wear. I would wear pink. I'm like, I don't even like pink. And people are like, then be your own brand. So Fifth and Core reflects everything. It's a glass of wine. It's weights. It's cold plunge. It's red nail polish. It's black clothes. All the different shades of black clothes I could have. It's just me. That's who I am. And
this wasn't planned, by the way.
I know. I thought it kind of was. I thought you did this for me. I was so excited. I was like, oh, okay, cool. We're both wearing it.
I mean, black is my color too, but no.
But it's being unapologetically authentic. People connect to brands because they know the person. You look at all these makeup brands. So I want to step out of our industry and just talk about makeup brands. You look at the makeup brands and who they're started by. You connect to that person who started the makeup brand. Oh, they have troubled skin. They had acne just like me. They had this. All of a sudden you're connected to it. We're seeing that in the alcohol industry. Tequilas are being, purchased and being brought. Like, people connect with the owner of the brand. It's something that bonds them.
Yeah. And so then on an owner level, that's fair. What do you think about owners letting employees have their personal brands? Do you think that's detrimental, or would you encourage it?
I would encourage it.
Okay.
I want to see you out there. Number one, you're not going to work for me forever.
Right.
And here's the reason why. If you are working for me forever, we did something wrong.
Right.
So I look at my team and they're either going to replace me.
I love that.
And they're going to buy the business from me, and I'm going to move on and I'm going to be their janitor. But if you are in the same place that you were 5 years ago and you didn't move up, move on, take over for me, we both did something wrong in life.
That is so powerful. I love, first of all, that just rolled off your tongue, because it's not lip service. That is who you are, which is amazing, because that happened with like my dad. He's helped. I'm his third person that he's helped open an agency, and it's one of his prides. Like, he felt the same way. You're coming to work here. It's to learn and grow, and eventually, hopefully, I can help you change your legacy.
Yeah.
Right. So I absolutely love that. I know employees are a whole other thing. Like, we could spend hours talking about employees. You have a huge team. So I know that you know about troubles and dealing with that. But like, I would assume that what bigger compliment, right, would it be than someone learns from you, and then like you will also in turn turn around and just support them equally, like, and they just take over or whatever it is, go on their own and do their version of your dream, their dream. Like, that's so powerful. I don't think there's not enough of that, because people, you find a good employee and you're like, you can't leave me.
No, leave me. Yeah. Because if we didn't, or leave me or replace me.
Correct.
Please replace me. I even tell certain ones, and I won't say their names here, I will tell them all the time, you're going to replace me. I will be your janitor. I'll be there. And that's okay. If I had a kid, I wouldn't want them to live with me forever. That's failure to launch, right? I want them to go to college. I want them to get married. I want them to have a future. So why wouldn't I want the same thing for my employees?
Right.
With our employees, I want them to be a thought leader. I want them to get up on that stage. I want people to say, oh, they're there. If they're always looking at me, then I can never grow this outside of me.
Wow. How do you find the people then that like want that for themselves, that are driven enough to do it?
That's so hard. I'm going to, like, let's be really honest. Some people they want to clock in, clock out. I
read the Patrick Bet-David book, Your Next 5 Moves, and he talks about that, right? The entrepreneur versus the entrepreneur. Like, there's some people that are 100% fine always being an employee, and they're great at it. Well, then great. But then how do you find the ones that, want the development and the leadership training and all that stuff? How do you think you've mastered that?
I look for employees that are opposite of me. And let me explain that, because if they're just like me, if they're mini me, they can never replace something. So I look for them to be better at something than me. I look at their goals in life. Like, what is your goal? I have one that is amazing. She's my ghostwriter. She's going to go to law school. Well, now I can be super sad she's going to law school, or I could be super happy because she says, I'm always going to come back and be. She told me that before she started working for me a year ago. So we know I'm going to invest in her for another whole year before she's going to do that. I want her to go and do something that's totally different. So I look at what their personal goals. So we always say, what are your professional goals and what are your personal goals? If you have no personal goals, then you're going to have no professional goals. So I always ask on interviews, what are your personal goals? We also then ask, what are the things that mean the most to you? And if someone's like, oh, I don't know, like hanging out with my friends, or, I love going clubbing. I'm like, cool. But they're like, I love family. I love how hard my parents work. You can start hearing how people talk about that. Some people say the most important thing is leaving a legacy. I'm like, okay, you're hired. Immediately, I can teach anybody anything, skill set. I can't teach heart.
Right. I agree with that. I'm learning. I'm building a team, so I'm learning those things, and I feel like one of the things I had somebody recently on the show who's in my industry, and he talks about that too. He's like, I look for competitive spirit. Like, do you like to win? I like to be around people that are winners. And one of the best pieces of advice that I had heard from him too is just like, do I like the person as a person? Mm-hmm. Like, let's be serious. We're working with people. We spend more time at work than with our families.
100%. I spend more time, especially because we travel so much.
Yeah.
I'm literally living with you. I'm on a plane with you. I'm eating with you. We're sharing food together. We're like, we're running to the bathroom, watching each other's suitcases. We're going through TSA together. Yeah. We spend so much time. So making sure that we are on the same objective and we have the same goal. We might not have the same way of getting there, but it's awesome. It's funny though. It's also like dating. And I want to like pull that in because not everyone is perfect fit for you. They're great. But there's sometimes that you have to say like, let's move on. Let's see other people. And you have to say that in work. And it's okay to say that. It's like, hey, you're great, but you're going to be, you're not. I have an intern who's at NASA now. Like, you're doing better than me. So like, I'm so proud of her, but like, it was time for her to move on. Yeah. Go. Leave the little nest. So I think that's the way we look at it.
That's great. It's great because it starts from an empowering place.
Yeah.
Right. So when you bring someone on and they know that you're pouring into them more than just to meet your objectives, but to help them meet theirs, that's huge. Because I mean, let's be serious. How many people here just like come here, collect the check and also go home as the owners, right? Like they just want people to never leave and to do what they say and to be robot, like, no, it's so much more fulfilling to be able to literally morph people's, legacies.
It's also when they push back, when they're like, hey, Robin, we're not doing that. And I'm like, oh, why? And I'm like, that's because your idea is so much better. I didn't even think about that. Thank you. So I tell them, push back.
How'd you get there though, mentally? Like, have you always been that way?
I got broken.
Okay.
Let's put it for real. I was broken. I gave my heart as an employee to so many other businesses and I was never fed back. So being unapologetically authentic with mine, if you interview with me, the first thing I say is this is like dating. Right when we start, I'm like, you got to get to know us just as much as we got to know. If we walk away saying, hey, this is not a right fit, that's okay. And I had to get to that point, and I have to be okay to let people go because their lives are happier. Mm-hmm. If I was still working at TGI Fridays at Town Center Mall 15 years later, then I haven't accomplished it. So that manager who taught me to do everything with excellence is happy that I'm out there speaking now. Like, you have to think about it that way. And so I want to see the better in people.
Yeah.
This life is so temporary.
Yeah. How do you do that though? Okay, even on your worst days, give me a tactical example of just being able to see past the problems and continue to focus on the excellence of people. I love that statement, by the way. That's so powerful. Like, I obviously you have bad days, right?
Oh yeah.
But I'm asking selfishly because I'm really bad at leadership, honestly. So I'm asking your leadership questions, even for myself, right? Like, how do you is it just go to bed and I'll wake up tomorrow and tomorrow's a fresh new 24 hours to just see the best in you? Okay.
No.
Good. Well, that makes me feel better.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I might have gone to bed angry at you. I'm still waking up angry with you. Let's figure it out. All my employees' names are on a whiteboard in my room. Mm-hmm. So I can see that. I can see where they're strongest in and we can move them to other jobs. We can see who they can also help replace or retrain to be that way. So I'm constantly looking at all their pros underneath their names on my whiteboard. It's a 6-foot whiteboard. My mom helped me hang it up. So I do that. And I know what their future goals are. And their future goals are written under there. Yesterday, we were going through old notebooks, and every employee who's worked for me has shared their goal. And I actually still have it from the past 7 years, which is crazy because I haven't even opened my company. It was when I was a VP of a tech company. So I always look at that. Every day you have to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I have employees who will be like, can we talk real quick? Can we call? And I'm like, hey, if you don't mind, or let's FaceTime, or let's jump on this. We try to end things at the end of the day resolved. And if we don't, I'm going to say, hey, this is how this made me feel. How did it make you feel? And we try to go through it. That's really it. But it's a struggle. We're all humans. Humans are messy.
Right. And I think for me, on my perspective, it's like it's the lines are blurred on the leadership part with also having to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
So it's like, how are you inspiring people, but also still maybe sometimes like letting them know, hey, like you're not doing enough. Like how do you do that with grace or like in a positive fashion?
I think we empower them to say what they feel like they're doing good. Because I'm like, so what did you do great at? They're like, I freaking crushed sales this week. And I was like, what did you do bad at? And they're
to
like,
see if they already know.
And they know.
Yes,
the self-awareness on our team is so amazing. Yeah. And I wish at 20 years old I had that self-awareness because I felt like I had to be fake. now I'm like, hey, so everybody knows I have dyslexia. And so reading is extremely hard for me. So I make up words where my team will be like, what word were you on stage just saying? And I'm like, I don't know. So I have people hold me accountable. Or they'll be like, hey, your LinkedIn post had a misspelling. Is that I laugh it off and I'm like, thanks so much. And I'm like, I really appreciate you catching that. Number one shout out because you caught that for me. I think it's being transparent in even my own faults.
Yeah, but that makes sense too, because you're not like this figure, right? You're not like this unattainable, like nobody can, hold you accountable.
No, watch me walk on a stage. I will end up somehow, it always happens that my heel will end up in like the hole for the microphones and I will like eat it. And people are like, what is wrong with her? And I'm like, it's me.
I love that.
It's me. Like, those are the things, and I'm okay with it. I laugh at my own self. There's some podcasts that I'm like, what was I just saying? Because my little brain was just like running, and I'm like, I didn't know. So I open up and I'm saying, hey, look, I'm a mess some days. Hey, these extensions are fake. The lashes are fake. Who knows if they're glued to my face right now? I don't know. So call me out on it and say something. And I think it's being so transparent and knowing that and having other people on my team and encouraging them. They'll laugh at me.
I love this because it kind of just ties back to everything that Fifth and Core is, right? It's the human aspect of we have to remember that these are businesses and we're all people, they're people, and like just be more people.
People are messy. I mean, we just went through a hurricane, right? I have people on the West Coast. I was like, they're like, hey, this is the active list I have for, clients today. And I was like, no. You need to get your butt out of there. Go to Costco and cross the state right now. No, clients can wait. I'll take over. I'll jump in. So I think it's also being human-centered of like, we just communicate. There's some days that like, I had one employee, her dog was throwing up and she was like, I have to take him to the vet. Okay, I'll step in. That's fine. Like, because I hope you step in for me when something goes down like that.
Right. So you've fostered a team spirit too, right? Where it's like everyone, hands on deck when needed, which is super critical. Let's talk about the speaking thing. Cause I don't know. I don't know that I've had anybody in the hot seat here about speaking.
Okay.
How do you give us some advice? Again, super selfish because you're on all the stages speaking constantly. What's your best piece of advice for someone that wants to break into that space?
Oh, there's like so many. Be yourself. Like, be yourself up on stage. If you're a dorkfish like I am, just get up there and be a dork. Like, I tell jokes and they like, sometimes they just like bomb. I'm like, cool. And like, I'll be the only one laughing at it and I'll like call out the audience. And I'm like, okay, I don't read my slides. Don't read your slides. Like, that's another thing. People want to talk to you. They want to know, and they also want to know the struggles that you're going through. So be up there and put something that like actually they can relate to. And then don't be scared. Because imposter syndrome kicks in so hard right before you walk on that stage. You'll be like, I'm doing good. I look good. Got the new dress.
Right.
I'm fine.
Feel good.
You're like, I feel good. And for some reason, it's that like little teeny tinge that you're like, oh, I'm sweaty. I don't know. And like, I'll drop my mic. I'm like, what is happening? And so I think it is being, it's okay. It's 15 minutes of your life. The connections that you'll have, the relationships you have. And even if you mess up, people will actually appreciate you more.
Yeah.
So speaking is really important, but getting yourself out there. Let's go back to what you asked me, investing in your personal brand. And until I started investing in my personal brand, doing my own LinkedIn, being a thought leader in that space, no one's going to ask you to be a speaker. And it is every single day you have to be on those things. You have to be able to help. You have to do podcasts. You have to go out there. I think a lot of people are like, are you going to be a paid speaker right away? No. I am now.
Right.
But there's a lot of free things that you're going to be doing. You're going to be speaking at someone's kindergarten graduation. You're like, yes, this is the best in my whole
I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
And you will be freaking grateful for that opportunity. You take everything because it's the audiences. You can learn from every single audience.
Right. First of all, I got thrown into it. I didn't ask for it. Like my LinkedIn post said last week, I could not stand up and say my 60-second commercial at BNI. Mortified. I forget my name. Absolutely. Like most people, right? Speaking is like the number one fear. Like they'd rather die than get on a stage and public speak. And so I was always that person. I think the Daily Drip, I know that the Daily Drip has helped me kind of just push through these insecurities and these fears, right? Because I see all of you do it every day, right? I'm swimming in a pool of women that are facing their fears every day.
But why are you scared?
Well, I think I'm getting less scared.
But like, why is anyone scared? You're just getting up and talking. You talk every day. You talk on the phone. You talk at work. You talk at your...
But you don't talk with 300 eyeballs on you.
Okay, so you have less. I would rather speak with 1,000 eyeballs on me than
Really?
instead of 5 people in a boardroom. I'm like, ugh, okay. I'd rather talk to everybody. It's natural. And I think if you get out of your own head, not you personally,
just
like
the person.
me,
Yeah.
I have to walk up there and I'm like, there's a reason I'm here. I'm going to share my knowledge. I'm going to be unapologetically authentic. That's like my whole thing.
Yeah.
Say what you're going to say. If you mess up, you mess up. And why be scared? Like, seriously.
I mean, it's a valid question, but I don't know. I just am. I mean, I think I'm getting better. And that's also what I've learned too, is the authentic part. I feel like, because I've mainly been speaking in industry specific things. I think that people automatically assume you have it all together because you're on a stage.
Oh,
and the first thing last week on that panel, I was on stage with people that have businesses 100 times bigger than me. And I was like, I just want everyone to know that these are the problems my agency has. Like, let's level the playing field. I am you. Like, we're the same. And I think that has helped me even fight the imposter syndrome, because I feel like getting a little bit of exposure and attention, it almost makes me feel more of imposter, because I'm just like, God, if these people only knew, like I don't have anything figured out, or I don't have it all figured out. Right. Like that whole mindset of just like, the light is being shined on me and I'm just like, oh, I don't have it figured out, but I'm working through it. But I feel like being on a stage it automatically gives like another sense of responsibility. Maybe I'm putting it on myself.
No. It does give another response. You're about to like share stuff with people. And
you're poised as an expert.
You are. And there's sometimes that people like, they'll do like open random questions from the audience. And I'm like, that's a great question. I'm going to Google it. We're going to get back, or we're going to have coffee or cocktails. I always say that. Coffee or cocktails, and it doesn't matter what time of day, coffee or cocktails. So it could be mimosas, or it could be a nighttime and I'll have an espresso martini. Yes. I don't know.
Okay, hold on. Real question. Vodka or tequila espresso martini?
Oh, tequila.
Yes. Me too.
Always. No vodka.
No vodka. Me either.
We saw other people.
I didn't even think.
It's not that vodka's bad. It's just, it doesn't work for me.
No, vodka and me are not friends.
No.
Okay, good. Man. We got the no kids, no vodka, tequila, espresso martinis. Look at us go.
What else do you need to know?
We should have done this with cocktails.
We should have done this 100%. We should have. And like, okay. And I said it so just casually, like vodka just doesn't work for me. Just like some people don't work with me. It's okay. Like, and I think we have to stop being worried about what works. Cause I'd rather people move on in their life and be so much happier and not trapped in there. Cause then it's like a terrible thing. I've had people who've worked for me come back and been customers now of mine. And I'm like, oh my God, look at your life. It's so much better. Like, I'm so proud of you. Good job. You started your own company and now you're coming back for marketing. They're like, yes, because I saw what you used to make us do. And I'm like, okay, great. You're the best client ever.
Right.
So I think it's one of those things that you just have to let people move on with their life.
I think that this is such a good conversation and you're so positive. I love that. I need this. I need your energy.
That bond.
Yeah, I love it because it's, sometimes this is still just a lonely road, right? And so
why don't we talk about that?
Okay, let's.
So being an entrepreneur, how lonely is it? So lonely. No one gets that. They see the stage, they see the lights, they see the outfit, they see the on and off, they see the flights. No one sees the flight delay. No one sees me laying on the floor in the airport. I don't care what anyone says about germs. I will lay on the floor. Like, they don't see the landing at 2:00 in the morning, waiting for an Uber, having the Uber take the wrong direction, waking up at 7 a.m. They don't see that. And then
having to be on.
Oh, and then being on.
And then having to be like the persona, right? Like who they came to see.
Yeah.
You don't get to walk in and be in the audience.
No.
And like sip on your coffee.
Please, no one smell me right now. I didn't shower. I had to be up here. And then I have to still do it again. And then they don't understand that you have to sneak in other things. I still have laundry to do. I still have a grass that needs to be mowed. I
love that you mow your grass.
I still have the hurricane shutters that need, like, the chairs need to be pulled in. My pool, I was on a client called me in the middle of the evening, and I was turned on my pool, had a glass of wine, and I literally was turned on the motor to let the water out. Totally forgot about it. Almost burned out my motor. And people don't know that there is still a real mess. This morning, my dog pooped on the floor, and I'm like, right before I was getting ready for you, and I'm like, take the dress off, put it back on. Like, okay, that is what people don't know, and it's so lonely because they see you and they're like, I know you're busy, and I hate that. I'm like, what do you mean you know I'm busy? I'm wearing a mask, eating popcorn, watching Netflix. I'm not, or because they don't know it is, and I think it's very lonely, and it's also isolating because the bigger your business goes, the more you have to put time back into it, and so you miss out on those things. And quality time is my biggest love language. And so when I can't do that, it's so lonely. I miss my parents, My parents took me out for pizza. We always have this pizza place that we go to when I'm in town, and they took me out for pizza, and I was just like, this is what I need in life. And I think people don't know that it can get very, very lonely.
Yeah. I know that even, I mean, this might be, I don't know if this has been your case, but it's kind of been my case that even in your personal life, like your friends that you have that they can be supportive, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. And again, I think that's why the Daily Drip, it has become so personal for me because it is specifically women that I know what it feels like. You know, the evolution of the relationships around you, because maybe you were the one that would, binge on the Housewives for 3 days, but now you have to work on your business for 2 of the 3 instead. You know, like that feeling of leaving them behind, or, it's taxing.
And I'm not leaving you behind.
Yeah,
no, I think they say a client becomes a friend faster than a friend becomes a client. And it's because clients are all of a sudden, or community, they should say a community becomes a friend.
Right.
Because it's somebody else who understands what you're going through. They understand, I have a good friend, Maria, who's like, no, you're busy. And she sends me a hamburger emoji to make sure I ate every day. We don't have to have a whole conversation about it, but that's our friends. And some of my friends are like, well, I thought you were busy. When I say it's lonely, it breaks relationships. Your family all of a sudden doesn't see you as much because you have to answer that call. Because a client will leave you immediately. They don't care what happened. I literally was getting, the week I met you, literally getting IV'd in the hospital, trying to make it to a speaking event. And I'm not even joking, texting with my phone. I couldn't even bend my arm. And the nurse is like, you need to stop. This is what put you here. And I was like, it's so lonely. And she's like I could see her heart break because she knew exactly how I was feeling. And so I think that's the thing that people don't know. And we're human.
And so then when does it end?
I don't know. Can someone tell me that? Oh my gosh.
Wait, like when I don't know either.
When I retire, when I die, no, I'm actually really serious. When does it end?
When does it end? Is it a decision that you say, all right, enough is enough? Like I'm going to have to be happy with 20% growth instead of 35. I mean, I don't know the answer either.
I don't know what happens when it's a freaking election year and sales start going down and the world's changing and there's a hurricane and your clients who are in North Carolina are affected, and what happens when there's a war, and there's so many things, and you're like, my goal was 20%, but I'll be okay if we don't go negative this year. Life changes. I can't answer that question. If someone could I don't know, drop this when it goes on LinkedIn, can someone drop the answer to when does it end?
When does it end?
I don't know.
When is enough?
I don't know.
And it's funny because, and I know you prioritize your health. You have your routine and you're consistent with that. So I know it's of importance to you, but also when is the work when is it that your health is being sacrificed for your work? Not just you, all of us.
Oh, it has. Look at business owners. They're like the unhealthiest people,
right.
Even the ones who wake up. So here's the thing. People don't understand, your body is not meant to work all the time. Your brain is not meant to be turned on, running
right.
on all cylinders. You said, what happens if you go at night and you sleep no, you still think about it in the middle of the night.
100%. I can't shut my brain. Literally this morning, 1:30 in the morning, I was up.
I was bouncing on a trampoline at 5 a.m. this morning in my garage. I will send video with this underneath. I'm like, get my lymphatic drainage system if I can get that. And I'm not even joking. I'm in a sauna. I'm in a cold plunge. I will lay on a PDF mat. I'll lift weights.
You're trying it all.
I will try everything to get healthy and to clear my brain so that I can be the best. But then clients start sharing stuff, or they share about their personal life, and you know how they feel, because they're like, hey, Robin, this is affecting my personal. I'm pouring money back into it for my personal. My house is on the line. And you're like, okay, we have to think. We have to think outside of this. We have to do this.
I think for you too, what I do is pretty high stress. If I was an agency in North Carolina right now, I'd be dealing with a lot of issues, right? People losing their entire lives, right? Like material possessions in their homes. Obviously very stressful. But what you do is so, and no pressure, but the way I see it is, and I can understand why, because you take it personal, because you have pride in it and you take it serious, because people are giving you their money to grow their business.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have to make their business grow.
And there's those phone calls that they're like, what do I do? And right. I'm like, they're like, my house is on the
line. So really you're running X amount of businesses, right?
Yeah. No one knows that. They're like, wait,
it's not just yours.
Oh no. And I'm fully invested there. Or they'll tell me, hey, this employee quit. Hey, I had a restaurant and the employees walked out, and I was like, I'll be on a flight. am I supposed to stand on the line and cook? No, but I can.
Right.
Am I supposed to stand in a dish pit? Now, they hired me from marketing 5 years ago. And they will tell you right now, if they got here, I was in their dish pit cleaning dishes. You know why? Because nothing is beneath me. And to make your business work, it does not need to be marketing. Guess who never asked me what ROI is? Because they know I'm going to be there no matter what. They have put their whole lives into it, and I get that. I put my house on the line. I put my family in the background to make this work. I understand for my clients.
Well, that's but that's why, I mean, you should give yourself some grace when it comes to your level of
I never give
stress.
myself grace.
Yeah, but I mean, really, you take it so personal in a good way, right? That you're really growing 100 businesses.
I am.
It's not just yours. You're so invested that, I mean, that it's natural that would take a toll on you.
You know, the one I said, I turned on my pool motor, and that's not even a client of mine. Like, not yet. They're part. And I'm like, okay, what do you need? And he's like, I need something, this, something. I'm like going through the back end, looking at what APIs were connected to his site. And I'm like, and I totally forgot about my house and it's 7:00 at night. I'm like, I understand because you just poured all your money into this too. And all I needed during that time was someone to say like, hey, Robin, we can help you.
Right. Such a good conversation. It's so good. And I always appreciate when people are so vulnerable, right? And so raw, because this is a wild journey, and like you're high and you're really low. And then it's like, you just got to pick yourself up. And so I just tell myself 24 hours, right? Like you got 24 hours to get over something, even celebrating something, right? Like we had a great month last month. Well, great, because the two prior were tough, right? So you did good. Now what are you going to do? You got 24 hours to be happy about it. Move on.
Being an entrepreneur, we say you get the bends. So, you know, when you dive too deep and you come back up, you're doing that all day long. So physically, emotionally, spiritually, it is going to drain you. And that is like, you talk about community, and I have several communities. I'm part of Daily Drip. We're also part of Miss Esquire together. Like there's so many different groups that we're part of. Have a community that can hold you accountable.
Correct. Yep.
And I always say to my friends, heard, helped, or hugged. Like, which one do you want to be? And some people are like, I just need a vent. I'm like, cool, heard, got it.
Yeah.
I need to be helped. Okay, let's freaking whiteboard this out right now. Grab a bottle of wine. I'm in my PJs. You can come over. Let's whiteboard this. Or it's hugged. Hey, I just need a hug. You know, like my dad going through cancer, this has been a very big drain. It's not easy to worry about his test and still be on a sales call. And I'm like trying not to cry. Those people don't know. Right. Those people are grilling me. They're, you know, then I'm getting a full report and people are asking me about ROI. And I want to be like, my mom's texting me right now. I need to see what my dad's test results came back. They don't understand that you're still human too.
Oh yeah. No, we've talked about that too. Absolutely. And I think that's just society as a whole.
Right.
Like, probably partly because of the internet, right? Like there's humanity, common decency, all of that. That's a whole other thing of just how people, well, I think that's kind of why, and maybe I might be assuming, but I feel like, you know, your commitment to your routine, you know, your fitness, you're consistent with trying things for you. All of that stuff might be your way of like channeling, you know, releasing the stresses and the tensors and all of that stuff. And just the negative aspect of, or just, you know, the people aspect, not the good part, right? Where you're building them up, but just the taxing part of dealing with people.
Yes. But I also think if I can do the hardest thing and the first thing in the morning every day, then the rest of the day can't be that bad. Right. And I hate to use this example, and I used it one time and I think you were there, but it was at the cold plunge. If I can get in that stupid cold plunge, and that is the worst part. This morning I was like, why do my toes feel numb right now? I've done this for like almost a year, but if I can get in there the rest of my day, and I think David Goggins is actually the one who said this, if you can do the hardest thing in the first part, or maybe it was Joe Rogan, if you can do the hardest part, the rest of your day is okay. I'm committed to doing hard things first. So I try to write the hard emails first, because then the rest of the day is easy.
Well, and it's never really as hard as you think it is.
No, you just got to get it done.
Right.
It's like that fear. And like all of a sudden I'm like procrastinating because of fear. The
procrastination aspect of it lingering and the emotions of how is it going to, all that stuff. Yeah. No, I would agree with that too. I have a couple of those I should have done this morning.
I love that she gives me like so much credit for working out. Sometimes I just lay on the floor in my garage.
Yeah.
But that's my workout. And I'm like,
listen, you have your routine though. But
it's there. We're doing it. I love it.
The thing is too that I've learned, I mean, I'm learning a lot from you. I'm telling you, people, it's less about the community or whoever watches this. It's more about me. It's also like a summary of who I am. I've always been a person that was very unscheduled, very, let's see where the wind takes me. Like, I think it's because I don't have children. Because if I had children, if I had to mold human beings, right? Like I would have to, you got to make your bed every day, right? Like, Like, you have to do this. You have your homework time. You got to take a shower. There's a schedule. There's a routine, a forced routine, because you're developing human beings to what you hope would be incredibly large human beings, right? Like, it's a big deal. You're molding people and your example affects them, right? My dog is watching me. So, the day that, and before this journey of entrepreneurship, I was very chill. I worked with my family business. Obviously, I always worked. I've always been a good employee. But I've never really been in the spotlight, and I've never been like seeked for advice and like my thoughts and like ideas. I've always been someone that had ideas, but I've just, I'll share them with whoever's around me. Like, I've been outspoken, but I've never been like a thought leader, like in life either. There's just some people that are born leaders, and I think I might be perceived that way. I've never viewed myself that way. Anyways. So in this journey of entrepreneurship, I'm reading more, like I didn't have a schedule to read prior. I would just read when I wanted to. And if I didn't feel like reading today, I wouldn't. So I've always struggled with consistency, always. And that's the number one thing that has probably hindered my business growth, has been my own lack of consistency. And so even if you wake up that day to stretch on the ground or lay on the ground, but you still woke up. You still did the consistent act of showing up, right? And I think that that's powerful. I think that it's a mindset thing. It helps you consistently just show up for yourself.
I would like to thank my parents for this right now, because when I was a kid, I was like the biggest procrastinator in life. They would tell my teachers, like, she's never going to amount to it. I always found the easy way to do stuff. Like, I was like, that doesn't make sense. We could totally do it this way. So
that's also not bad either.
I was like an innovator, but in a world of structure. And so my parents have helped me create structure. It wasn't until college I became very good at school, because all of a sudden it was like, well, now I have to force myself to be structured, or I'm going to fail out. So that is actually when it really happened. And then I found that I was like very good at being OCD about the things I wanted to be OCD about. And then the rest of it, I just find other people who hold me accountable. So there's things that I'm just really not good at, but I have the phone that I can pick up and I can be like, Joe, help me with this. Or, hey, Matt, can you help me with this? Or, what does this mean? Like, I have a group of people who will step in and help me, because I'm not good in those areas.
How do you keep yourself from negotiating with yourself? Like, the day that you slept, you're tired. And and I don't want to just equate this to working out, but just even like the things you don't like to do in your business, let's say, but that, you have to do, like those points of like, well, I'll do it tomorrow, right? Like, how do you do that? How do you not negotiate with yourself?
I think I need to learn how to negotiate with myself, because I don't give myself a break.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's like sociopathical at this point, but I don't give myself a break. It is never good enough. It is never. So I have had people come into my life this past year who have made me stop and take a break for a second. And they're like, hey, we see what you're doing. Get off Slack right now. You don't need to be answering that. You said you'll answer it in an hour. Answer it in an hour. So for me, it's the opposite. I've never been good enough. I've never been the good student. Nothing has ever come easy. And obviously I have learning disability. So like nothing ever came easy. And so I never feel good enough. I never feel tall enough. Never feel pretty enough. I never feel thin enough on stage. I'm like and this is like crazy. I never feel like I'm working hard enough. I never feel like I land enough deals. I don't celebrate wins. And it wasn't until this past year that people have come into my life and said, no, celebrate that. Hey, you didn't celebrate that. You didn't pause. You didn't take anything. And it has been very hard. I didn't celebrate my birthday. I just worked straight through my birthday. It's the most important day. It's everywhere for me. It's like the most important day of my entire life. And I'm like, didn't celebrate it. Just kept going. And I think that's been a challenge. So no, I don't negotiate, and I need to, because you can't keep going all the time. You're going to burn out.
Maybe I'm too self-aware of like my feelings, and
that's why. Great.
Well, I mean, it's not if you're constantly negotiating. You're the extreme, and I'm the extreme.
See, maybe we should be best friends. Like, be like, hey, are you holding yourself accountable? Yeah. And like, Robin, did you celebrate that win? Because I'll be like, oops,
right,
what win? And you'll be like, hey, pause, and I'll be like, hey, did we do this today? No. Okay, cool. Like, because, and I think that's finding people that are opposite than you, and that's what I said about hiring people. I hire people who are better at things that I'm not good at.
Right. I think that this is so fascinating because this world, I mean, my eye doesn't stop twitching. I've been up since 1:30, and it's just like, and so perfect example. I'm going to out myself, up since 1:30, and I didn't go to Pilates because I was tired. I was exhausted. Yeah, but I mean, I'm exhausted whether I go or not. I should have done it. It would have been good for me. I did the hard thing, like you said, right? Like I would have done something for my body where I'm sitting in a chair for 9 hours a day, right? Like I would have prioritized my health, like that type of that is what I need. I need some of the Robin Juju here. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, I did 75 hard. And that's the only reason I also started training myself to do things. Cause you're like, I don't want to start all over again. So I'm very goal oriented, if you can't tell. And so like, you might as well get up. It might be the worst workout. You might do this, the worst that you possibly do, but you did it. And then your body's like, okay, we can do something else. But also give yourself a break. And I think I'm like super excited that you say you give yourself a break. Because
I think I give myself too many. I negotiate with myself in a too lenient way, I think. And I've gotten way better. Like I have gotten, the perfect example of how consistent you are and whether you think you're being hard on yourself, like even traveling, that's what it is. Last week I traveled and it was longer than expected because of this storm. So I'm out till 3:00 in the morning. I drink more than ever because I'm not really a drinker at home. I'm a social drinker, right? But you know how those conventions go, you go to dinner, then you go out again. Like it's just never ending. I'm going to bed late. I'm in bed at 9:30 in my real life. Right.
Me too.
So it's like that. So this is what it is because it's the week coming off that I'm just disheveled, right? Like, and it takes me a while to just kind of come back to my routine. I mean, how do you maintain a routine that's traveling with the amount that you do? Like, that's a perfect example of how consistent you are, that even on the road, you can do it. It's the hardest challenge.
I wake up at the same time every day.
No matter where you are.
Right. So when I was in Utah 2 weeks ago, I was still waking up because I knew coming back was the biggest challenge. So being up there at 4:00 was easier than trying to reset my body.
Correct.
So, I mean, for me, that's actually what works because I can't redo it. I'd rather wake up, even if I go to bed at midnight, which I went to bed at midnight like last Saturday and then did a 5K. And I'm like, at 4:30, I was like, died waking up. And I'm like, I'm going to do this stupid 5K, which thank you, Wade, for making us do it for veterans. Appreciate it. But I have to I try to keep a system. And that is actually because when I turned 40, all of a sudden I realized my hormones were completely off. And so I needed to start doing hormone replacement therapy. And they said it was because the stress of running a business was actually wearing me down faster. And I, again, talk about what it's doing to your body. It was really wearing me down faster. And so I needed to do that. So now the schedule is just for me so that I don't go it's like a puppy. I have to stay on a schedule. I'm going to pee on the floor.
we got to put you on the pee pad at the right time.
If not, it's going to be really bad for everybody else.
I think it's so funny that we're talking about this because this morning when I was getting ready, I started about 9 weeks ago, 5:30. I'm waking up at 5:30 in the morning because I felt like my brain just doesn't shut off. So I need to have the time for myself. So 5:30, even if I was cleaning out my emails, that's fine because it allows me to do things here, maximize my day. Fine. And I had been doing so good. I was 100 for 100. Like I was doing so good. And this morning, my alarm went off at 5:30 and I could not open. Well, I also had woken up from 1:30 till about 3:15. And I was exhausted. And so I was like, no, I'm not getting out of bed. And while I was getting ready for work, I thought to myself, man, last week really disheveled you. Like it wrecked me. I have to find out a way to not let these events wreck my whole, it's going to take me a month to come back onto it.
That's the problem. And I want to unnerve you a little bit more. I don't use an alarm clock.
You just naturally wake up.
But it's because I consistently did those stupid things for 75 days that changed my life a while back.
And even the day that you don't, it's probably because you really needed it.
No, but even on Saturdays and Sundays, I still wake up.
Yeah.
I still wake up. I still go and make coffee, and I can go back to sleep if I have nothing to do that day. But you always do.
Right.
You got to vacuum, you got to wash the floor, you got to do you got to cut payroll, have that little clock that goes off. It's like, oh, payroll time.
Yeah. Love that.
Make sure your insurance is paid,
all that fun stuff. No, this has been really, I always admire the people, there's a couple in my industry that are constantly in the convention circuit and doing all that. And they are on schedule and they wake up and go to the gym at the hotel. And I'm just like, man, those people, they can get it. I'm just the worst version of myself on those trips, honestly, because I just do things that are so out of
the whole thing is
the routine.
You wake up, they want you to be downstairs at the convention for breakfast, which is bagels at 7:00 in the morning. And then you're like, oh, we have a happy hour and then we have an after party. And then
you have 10 minutes in between each time. You have no time for yourself.
You're like, I can't answer emails or Slacks or anything like this. So no, it does throw me. It's just coming back from it is getting as quick as possible back into it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to, I can't believe that I was thinking, because I was just like, man, why are you so exhausted? Like, why is this and I thought to myself, oh, this one really just wrecked me. It just took me out. So I finally became aware. I was like, no, you got to do a better job of like bouncing back faster. You can't let this take you out for 2 weeks. Like, I can't. I got to get back to my routine of like being the better version of myself.
It's for your own self.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is. And I've realized it. And once I got into it, like it did, it's just, I don't know, I'm having these epiphanies about myself, I guess. This is a very personal journey, this road to entrepreneurship.
And people don't even, that's so what I'm saying. Like, when I say everything in your whole life is about to change, being an entrepreneur, everything, and the fact when you start not just being an entrepreneur, but when you start being an employer of other people, you can be an entrepreneur and not have employees. But when you have employees and their paychecks, their rent, their electricity bill rides on you, the only thing I can do is get up. Right. And then what you said earlier, for my clients, me doing my job the best, me thinking outside the box, me pushing the boundaries for them, I know that their job, right. We have one that's a restaurant. They have 30 employees, or like, okay, I affect 30 people's lives if I don't feel good that day.
Yeah, you got to fill that restaurant.
Like you got to wake up. Yeah. We don't need to be killed by friendly fire. Like, and I could do that if I don't want to. So when people say what motivates you, that's what motivates me. Maybe I should write down how many employees' lives I affect, like outside my business.
Because you need to.
I really, why? Because then I'll be like even crazier.
You don't need any more pressure. I think you're doing just fine. Okay. Yeah. Let's not.
Any therapist who would like to see me on the side would be amazing.
We're going to leave Robin's info in the show notes. If you have any suggestions on that,
please call. Please call and let me know when you can talk. I'm up at 5:30.
Saturdays and Sundays too.
Saturdays and Sundays. I'm available. Go ahead.
That's hilarious. Listen, at the end of the day, I feel the same way. This has changed my DNA.
Oh yeah.
I am a different person. It has changed my DNA. I think for the better. I know that I'm a better version of myself. And so I feel like, because when you start, it's like, I got to grow this business. I got to grow this business. I'm doing this as a business. And you're kind of still operating as Ciara, the person. And then she's the owner of the bunker. But no, then now they've merged. And now it's like, I've gotten opportunities and like a little bit of spotlight. So then that's a whole nother level of like pressure and new feelings, new emotions, new versions of yourself, because you're rising to different levels and everything. So it's this thing of one day, I guess I'm going to ask myself, when is enough? Mm-hmm. But it's just this, it has become a very personal journey, which I don't think I expected, because I didn't expect to be doing these things.
No.
I thought I was just going to sell insurance.
I thought I was just going to do marketing.
Right.
Never did I think I was going to be a speaker or a podcast. Right. I was like, no, I've been doing marketing for all this time. I did billboards back in the day. Like I'm the person behind your brand. I've never been the face of a brand. And I'm like, holy crap, this is exhausting.
It's I have noticed that too. And I think that's kind of, again, why I did one of these things or started this, was the networking. I was just drained.
Yeah. Oh.
Drained. And I just, you couldn't pay me to go to another lunch. I just couldn't. And I was able, which I think is when I kind of got a little bit of my power back of like feeling a little bit like myself, was I realized the personal toll it was taking on me. My business wasn't growing enough from some of these events, and not like it wasn't enough to justify how terrible I was feeling personally. Mm-hmm. And then I said, no, I'm going to, where can I spend my efforts? I get more out of this hour that we've spent together than anywhere meeting 30 people.
No, I don't need to meet 30 people. First of all, that's like, it's not intimate.
No,
it's
and
like,
you're not making connections.
And it's speed dating. You're like, what, who did I meet? And someone's like, oh, I saw you 3 months ago at this. And I was like, where was I?
We gotta do
3 months
lunch.
ago?
No, we don't.
No, but do we?
No, we don't.
And like, let's ask, like, where do you see this going? That's why I'm like, it can be coffee and cocktails virtually. Where is this going? Let's do 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Am I helping you with something? Am I helping your business? No, you just want to hang out? I'm sorry. I barely have time for my family. I have to spend time with them before I'm going to spend time. And I think that's what I've been allowing myself to do this year. This year I was like, no more, because you're like, I haven't seen you in a long time. And I'm like, yeah, because I had to start prioritizing, or I'm just on every night of the week. It's something.
You're doing something. Absolutely. There's an event every night of the week.
Every single night. If you live in South Florida, there is a night. Call me. I will help you get tickets to it. It is absolutely something to do every night. And you can't do that.
No.
So you start looking at what's the most valuable. And I always say I couldn't love 100 puppies. I love my 3, but that's a lot. Like 3 friends. I couldn't do 100, no matter how sweet I am. You just can't give attention to that. And I think that's exactly what it is like when you go to these events. And it's constant. So I've had to say no. And I'm like, if I lose a friend because of it, and some of my friends are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go either. I'm like, oh, thank God. Let's both not go.
Yeah. It's like the TikTok of like, you can't, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry, I have to reschedule. And the people are laying down in bed.
They're like, oh, no, yeah. It's fine. It's totally fine. Please
Trust me,
reschedule.
Please don't reschedule. We're good.
We're good. You know what? 3 months. And it like comes up on a Tuesday. You're like, damn it.
I did say yes to that. No.
I did say yes to that.
Tell us, lastly, what is the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
You can't do this alone. And the first year, I did it alone. I was just talking to my mom and dad about this last night in their living room. And I was sitting in a rocking chair. They had this cute rocking chair. And I was sitting there and I had my glass of wine. And I was like, I wish I would have done it with people sooner. I wish I would have stopped being so scared to be perfect and told people the mess sooner. Because the first year destroyed my life. I'm still bouncing back. I might have never bounced back from that. So finding people to do business with and finding people to do life with, it is okay to admit I was not the best accountant and I needed help and I probably should have done that. I would have saved for so much more money. I wasn't great at picking out insurance for an entire employee. I never picked out insurance before. I didn't even know what insurance I needed. I was great at marketing, but I wasn't great at like operations. I never asked for help. So if you're going to start this business, find 5 people who you want to emulate, not just emulate in their personal life, emulate in their business life, emulate in how they speak to people. Find those 5 people and have them be different and they have them pour into your life. And if you can't do that, then you're not ready to start a business because it is so lonely. And I made so many mistakes when I first started. Find a better lawyer, like those kind of things. Like
get a lawyer.
Get a lawyer. No one talks about that. And I'm like, well, lawyers are super expensive. I can write it. ChatGPT can write my no, they cannot.
No, stop. Yes.
That's like people who's like, I can do my marketing. I'm like, cool, how's it? I can be my own lawyer. And they're like, oh, that's not a good idea. I'm like, neither is doing your own. Right. So I think finding a good group of people that you can be extremely vulnerable with, but make sure that you look at their business and it's where you want to be. Make sure you look at their personal life because they could, if they can't find the balance, they're not going to help you find the balance.
So good. So good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for spending time with me. I appreciate you so much. In the short time of interaction that we've had, you have made an impact in me. So I know that this episode is going to be fantastic because you speak very honestly and open about what this life is, you know, of really what the behind the scenes of chasing your dreams actually looks like, right? It's not an Instagram reel.
No, and if someone's out there listening and they're like, I don't know, call me.
Yeah.
I'll send you a bottle of wine. I'll get that DoorDash to your house and we'll cry together in our pillow because it is so lonely and I understand.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Where can everyone find you?
Go on LinkedIn. It's Robin Dimond, but there's no A. So Dimond. LinkedIn is a great way to connect with me and then we'll move it over to email and we'll connect that way.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.